I guess, 10 minutes late. I had to run some errands. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking part in yesterday's marathon, content marathon. I'm proud to say we set a record number of views yesterday, more views than at any other time in the channel's history. So truly, truly appreciative and grateful for that. This is going to be a shorter stream than usual because I'm busy. I got a bunch of stuff I got to deal with today. However, we will be going tomorrow as well. Sorry, today at 1 a.m., excuse me. And we're going to keep the normal schedule. Behind me, we've got the Spitfires. Why? Because the Spitfires, I am proud to say, have made it into the finals of the Ontario Hockey League division. They just posted their schedule. The Spitfires have also been awesome when it comes to the Windsor Masonic Temple. They've provided some special prizes for events that we've held, including 2 signed hockey sticks and a custom jersey. And their mascots have actually attended events at the Windsor Masonic Temple. So that was really cool as well. So thank you so much for that. All right. The Windsor Spitfires, let me just get their schedule up. Just so I can let you guys know. If you're in Windsor, please, please, please check it out. I hope you will. Get your tickets. Let's see. Spitfires versus Rangers. The home games. Game 3, April 27th, 7:05 p.m. April 29th, 7:05 p.m. May 3rd, 4:05 p.m. So if you live in Windsor, if you live in Essex, heck, if you live in Detroit and you just enjoy hockey and want to see some great hockey, check out the Windsor Spitfires. They play at the WFCU Center. April 27th, April 29th, May 3rd. Those are the home games. And we are going to be cheering them on, as we should be for, anybody from Windsor. I said it before, I'll say it again. We in Freemasonry should care about the communities in which we live. That includes, we should care about, that should include caring about our local sports teams. A lot of people would say Masons don't have to worry about it. I disagree. I think we as Freemasons have a responsibility to care about local events just as much, if not more so, than anybody else. Welcome, though. Hello, Saint6666. Thank you for being here. You say shall we what? And thank you again, by the way, for being so kind regarding yesterday's content marathon. Also, congratulations, or not congratulations, but I would note it is Earth Day. I'm going to talk a little bit about Earth Day today because I think it's important that we mention it and how we as Freemasons can support it. Hello, Goddess Journey. Thank you for being here. I'm going to wave back at you. Please hit that like button and the subscribe button. Hello again, Tropical Papaya. Don't forget, Tropical Papaya, if you're not finding me, if it's been a while since you've seen me, it could be that you don't have your notification bell turned on. So make sure you have the notification bell turned on. Believe me, it helps out big time. What's wrong with my nose? My nose is perfectly fine. This is hockey, but I love lacrosse as well. Lacrosse is Canada's national sport. Everybody thinks it's hockey. It's actually lacrosse. I mean, do you mean within the lodge, outside the lodge? Sure, there's a lot of different perspectives about Freemasonry in the lodge. Well, then hopefully you're cheering on the Windsor Spitfires just as much as I am, as we hope that they will take the finals and make it to, win the OHL championship. They swept the last 2 series, which is really awesome. So let's keep our fingers crossed. They keep on sweeping. One, Chucky10, thank you for being here. I think you're new to the stream. Please hit like and subscribe. Yeah, well, see, Freemasonry is not a religion, right? Nor is it a cult, which means different perspectives are part of what it means to be a Freemason. In a religious connotation, usually you have a priest, an imam, a rabbi, whatever it might be, kind of telling you the proper perspective on the book that you're reading, whether it be the Bible or the Quran. Within Freemasonry, you are free to kind of imbue your own perspective on it. So that's one of the things I love about it. Maybe I am Georgie, but I hope you'll still hit like and subscribe. I would truly, truly appreciate it. We're going to keep waiting to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. And any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. Once again, thank you so much for a record number of followers and a record number of watchers yesterday. I really appreciate it. And let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. So we'll sit a bit of time, wait to see who joins. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? We don't schedule rituals daily. Like every day there's a Masonic ritual happening somewhere around the world because Freemasonry exists around the world, right, in different lodges. But a Masonic lodge, typically, if it's really busy, will schedule one day a month for a ritual, sometimes two. I've done hand scans, Hopscotch Daily. Clearly, you haven't been watching my streams. I did handstand push-ups, in fact, because we as Freemasons should care about our health and the health of people around us. So you need to watch my previous streams. But hit the like button, the subscribe button, consider a super chat, and then we shall see. Hello, Black Hole. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And I want to change my green screen now to here we go. Just because I like this green screen as well. So I'm not religious, right? I'm spiritual, I suppose is the term. I mean, I believe in a supreme being. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science and geometry. I cannot, Mr. Palad. You need to get sponsors from your Masonic lodge there. You can't even really sponsor in a different lodge. Does my head look like a coconut? That's the question. Once again, I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Please take a moment, hit like and subscribe. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. Well, you don't worry about finding a sponsor because you don't need a sponsor to approach the lodge, right? That's the mistake a lot of people make. You don't need a sponsor to approach the lodge. So you go to the lodge, express your interest in joining, they get to know you, you get to know them. And at a certain point, if things are feeling good or right or proper, or they think you'd be a good fit, they will find you sponsors within the lodge. But you don't need the sponsor to, you don't need the sponsor to approach the lodge and express your interest in joining, right? That is the mistake a lot of people make. So approach the lodge, express your interest in joining. They'll get to know you, you get to know them. At a certain point in time, they'll look at sponsorship. But the initial step, you don't need a sponsor. You just need to show up and express your interest in joining. Donald Trump is not a Freemason, at least not to my knowledge. I've never seen any evidence or confirmation that he is. I don't personally think he is. It's one of those weird conspiracy theories that keeps popping up all the time. I don't know why exactly or where it comes from, but it kind of is what it is. Once again, I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you all so much for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. I don't think they used government cheese slices. I think they used actual heating tiles. I'm not an engineer, keep in mind, so I don't know everything, but it seems highly doubtful to me that they used quote unquote cheese tiles. Though it would have been kind of funny if they did, I suppose. Nice try, HD. Please hit like and subscribe. You got to be quicker than that. I'm getting pretty good at finding out when people are messing with me on the stream now and responding in kind. So nice try. Please take a moment, hit that like button and that subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. I mean, I love China. I also love America. I don't want anybody to go down. I don't think that's right. Do you feel anything? I feel a lot of negativity in Freemasonry, not negativity in terms of the principles, the values, the beliefs, what it does for the world, but I absolutely feel a great deal of sadness when I see what Freemasonry could be versus what it is. And unfortunately, I think we have a responsibility. We need to look and be honest about the fact that Freemasonry is kind of dropping the ball on what it could be, everything it could be, in my opinion. It's just really, really unfortunate. What degree am I? I am a third degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree in Freemasonry. I am also a Worshipful Master of a Lodge, which isn't a degree, it's an office. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. A lot of people misunderstand and think that when it comes to this question of Freemasonry, it's the highest degree is the 33rd. It's not. That's one of those weird conspiracy theories that doesn't seem to want to die, unfortunately. The highest degree is, in fact, the third degree. The weather is beautiful beyond ether. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well also. Please take a moment. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. We do not SABF critter. That's a dumb, foolish thing to say. So are you, black hole. Give me your bank account information. We're all gatekeepers of certain knowledge. The reason we maintain that gate could be legitimate or illegitimate. In the case of Freemasonry, there's legitimate reasons. It maintains the bonds of brotherhood between past, present, and future generations of Freemasons. Well, SAB, you've just discovered and just demonstrated the problem, if you will, with conspiracy theories, right? Conspiracy theories, by making the accusation, by making the claim, of course, like if I accuse somebody of beating their wife, there's almost nothing that they can say to disprove it. Because if they say, no, I don't, my answer is going to be, well, of course you would say that. You're not going to admit it. So unfortunately, conspiracy theories are structured in such a way that even the denial ends up proving the initial thesis. It's kind of like heads I win, tails you lose. There's really nothing you can do about it. SAB, so there you go. You're never late, Courtney. You make it when you can make it. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you for being here. It's going very well. How is your day going? I mean, the biggest negativity is coming from Grand Lodges. It's this refusal to set any type of standards on membership attendance or participation, while at the same time requiring lodges to complete certain tasks or the lodge itself goes dark. You're basically hopping on 2 feet all the time, or playing hot and cold all time, right? All the time. They'll tell you Freemasonry is voluntary, don't put it ahead of your family and work, but then they'll threaten you with closing down your lodge if you don't meet certain standards. So the truth is, it's voluntary for those who don't care, but mandatory for those who care, lest the lodge itself die out, which is really unfair. And it creates nothing but resentment and hurt. And I am incredibly hurt by that. What would it take for me to prove my credentials? I can show you my dues cards, which is the best type of credential to have. Because unfortunately, this whole argument I keep hearing of finding, I know the modes of recognition. You can find those online. Some of them are correct, some of them are incorrect. I'm not going to tell you which is which, but it's a dues card. That's what matters. Wonderful. My day is going well. Yes, I got a big forehead. By the way, Courtney, I need to give you a thank you and everybody a huge thank you. I recently got a pretty significant, yesterday was a record in terms of the number of viewers I had in one day. And so thank you so much for that. You were a big part of that. It depends on the rules of the city or municipality and the building itself, right? Most places nowadays, I feel like they are saying, no, you cannot smoke inside buildings, period. And the lodge itself or the building itself may have rules about whether or not you can smoke in the building. Having said that, if you live in a place where the rules are such that they allow it and the building allows it, I don't see why not. I personally would not approve of it, though. And pretty much every building I've been to, at least in North America, now has rules based on the municipality and the building itself that you're not allowed to smoke in the lodge room. So, or inside of a building, you have to go outside to do it. Well, I am saying he's a liar. In terms of whether he regrets it or not, Maybe he does regret it. I can't say if he's lying or not about his feelings. The fact that he has millions of followers doesn't prove or disprove what he's saying. People will follow a lot of things that are wrong. At the very least, I'm saying he doesn't understand what he's talking about. I also think he's a bit of a scammer, the little I've seen of him. As always, once again, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Courtney. That's incredibly kind of you. I greatly, greatly appreciate it because I do have some expenses coming up. So supporting me on Patreon is incredibly kind. Anything you can do, I truly appreciate it. And then, yeah, Medium as well. I feel like my written content doesn't always get the, you know, love it deserves. So I'm hoping we can start growing it a little bit once again, because I do enjoy my content on Medium. I don't produce enough of it, I'll admit. I need to start looking at more. If you get a chance, guys, follow me on Medium. Podbean as well. It's always good advice, Derek. People should decide for themselves. It's one of those things where I guess I can't tell anybody what to believe. I can only say I've been a Mason for 20 years. I've paid attention for those 20 years, or just about 20 years, 19 years. And I think that my ability to pay attention should count for something. But that's my own humble opinion. I've been around the world for Freemasonry. I've seen Masonic events in North America, South America. So yeah, I'm grateful for that as well. There is a lot of disinformation out there. And that disinformation develops for a lot of different reasons. It's unfortunate. I think primarily what you see and the reason it develops is people struggling with their own lives. And because they struggle with their own lives, what they choose to do, and it's really unfortunate, is they choose to find, disinformation. They choose to focus on, like, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. They'll focus on conspiracy theories, on nonsense about Freemasonry, because it's easier for them to do that than it is for them to look in the mirror and figure out what's happening with their own lives and how they can make it better. And also, what you see very often is people grifting on it as well, because it's very lucrative to go on a podcast and say a bunch of nonsense about Freemasonry, unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case, but well, Derek, you are wrong because I'm a Freemason. I don't think I'm vulnerable, although I suppose we all have our vulnerabilities of a different sort. I've never done anything I would not do otherwise, never done anything illegal or immoral. Certainly, I've had to sacrifice a lot of my time and energy to Freemasonry, but that's what you do for anything you love. That's what you do for playing football, Sacrifice is kind of part of it, for better or worse. Who is CK? I'm not sure who that is, but I appreciate that nonetheless. Well, that's a big problem, Black Hole. I don't know if it's a legitimate lodge or not, because there are a lot of clandestine lodges. But if it is a legitimate lodge, then they should be very disappointed in themselves. If you are not friendly to your community as a Freemason, you're making a huge mistake and you're only hurting yourself. Or you're just hurting yourself. So you're hurting your lodge, I should say. The ability to be relevant starts with how we are viewed in the community. Tweaker, who is cooked? I assume you mean this channel. I had a record number of views yesterday. I was grateful for that. So thank you to everybody who helped make that possible. I just don't know who CK is. Although, as a comedian, I did really enjoy Louis CK. As a human, he's made a lot of mistakes, it seems. Tweaker, well, please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Are you saying it could be a model for Calvin Klein? Because that would be awesome. Most people say I look ugly. In fact, by far and away. I have no idea what you're talking about, Don Dada. I mean, I think this is one of those things where you see what you want to see. Um, like, I'm not sure what that means. I've never seen square and compass symbolism on anything evil. I think you're seeing things that don't exist. It's called blue car syndrome or frequency bias, where when you buy a blue car, suddenly you see blue cars everywhere. You're looking for things that don't actually exist, right? Or you're seeing things more frequently without paying attention. If anything I said just made sense. Yeah, it was really funny to me when I saw that. I kind of laughed. Um, the idea that this guy is always talking nonsense about Freemasonry, and then he goes and does an interview with Conor McGregor at a or at least maybe not him, but his guests, and then he does an interview at a Masonic lodge. That did make me laugh quite a bit. Um, Hello, Johnny Leach. Please hit like and subscribe. Thank you, Courtney. I'm very lucky to have it. I'm very grateful that I have it. Absolutely. Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate you seeing that. Like I said, if you sign up at the right level, some of those can be yours. And I appreciate all of the people sponsoring my Patreon thus far. Just sign up at the $10 mark or whatever it might be. Even the $5 mark, I'll send you some stuff. But yeah, that was with Conor McGregor. That did make me laugh a little bit to see him doing it at a Masonic building. Manly P. Hall did become a 33rd degree, but the danger of Manly P. Hall, the thing people very often don't realize, is Manly P. Hall was a Freemason about 30 years after he wrote The Secret Teachings of All Ages, give or take. So it's not one of those things where like he's a little bit overappreciated or overrated in Masonic circles. He wasn't a Mason for most of his life, including when he wrote his famous books. Johnny Leach, what statement did Albert Pike state at the very start of his book? What's the very first thing he said? And B, why is Albert Pike relevant to Freemasonry? Why is this weird obsession with them? But why, or my Masonic journey, but what is the very first thing he said at the start of his book, More Than Dogma? No worries, Courtney. No rush at all. I mean, and by the way, just being a free member is incredibly helpful and incredibly kind as well. So I do appreciate that very much also, right? It's incredibly kind of you just to do that and just to be here, to subscribe. There are a million ways to support the channel completely for free, and believe me, it helps just as much. Um, no, Sayaki did not say that. I mean, Freemasonry is not Gnosticism. Try to say that 3 times fast, but there is some Gnostic parallels. But there's parallels with a lot of different things. Freemasonry borrows or has parallels with a lot of different philosophies and ideas. Um, and also by supporting me on the Medium app for free is incredibly helpful as well. I am a Mason, not by chance. Been a Freemason for just about 20 years. Okay, so what Albert Pike says at the start of Morals and Dogma is everyone, not just every Mason, but everyone is entirely free to reject and dissent from whatsoever herein may seem to him to be untrue or unsound. Albert Pike was not speaking for Freemasonry. He was speaking for himself, his opinions, and his thoughts on Freemasonry. He was giving his personal philosophical ideas, not the truth about Freemasonry, his thoughts on Freemasonry. Also, Albert Pike was a member of Scottish Rite in the Southern jurisdiction. He was not setting rules for craft lodges in any jurisdiction, or in my jurisdiction in particular, nor was he responsible for York Rite, Shrine, Eastern Star, their youth groups. If Albert Pike were to visit my Masonic lodge, he would be welcomed as a visitor, as a guest from another lodge. He would not have any influence or power within. If you were visiting as Scottish Rite, he would have more honors as a Grand Commander of a Southern jurisdiction, but he would still not have ability to set influence or to set legislation. It would be completely voluntary, the extent to which anybody in the lodge chose to listen or not listen to him. Hello, Noah friends. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. I don't know what that means, whether you're disabled or not. Freemasonry celebrates the internal, not external qualifications of man. Whether you're disabled or not disabled is not relevant. What matters is, are you a good person, honorable? Do you try your best to help those around you? That's the start of it. That's the end of it. That's it. That's what matters. Well, Freemasonry is symbolic. It's symbolism to provide ethical lessons. Some would say it's symbolic to provide moral lessons. I prefer ethics. I think that's a better way to view it, or ethical lessons. But yeah. Um, but I mean, I'm disabled. I don't think that takes away the mystique of Freemasonry. Maybe in some ways it adds to it, right? At least it adds to demonstrating that Freemasonry is not judging people based on how they look, but rather what they do for the community around them. Sometimes Masons will organize parties or special events. Um, it's not for protection. I mean, there's a type of metaphorical protection in that, there's a social safety net component to Freemasonry. If you find yourself in trouble, needing support, needing assistance, very often you can go to the lodge and request benevolence, and that happens very often. Um, there is no such thing, though, Karam, as a Masonic view of Jesus. That's not how it works, right? Freemason does not purport to have any views on any religious figures. Rather, it's up to each individual Mason to have their um, own personal view on Freemasonry, or sorry, on Jesus. Some will be Christians, some will be Muslims, some will be Jewish, some will be more spiritual. It just depends. Well, the Royal Order of Jesters, I never met a Royal Order of Jester. I didn't even know there were any in Ontario, to be honest. David, to be one, ask one. So you did ask one. You need to find a Masonic lodge in your area and express your interest in joining. Knock on the door, tell them you want to join, and go from there. It's a bit of a process. It doesn't happen overnight, nor should it. Um, but yeah, it is. The first step is to approach a Masonic lodge in your area and express your interest in joining. I'm a little bit familiar with the Elks. Well, you can follow both SAB. If you're a Christian, you would, by definition, you don't really follow Freemasonry. You're a member of Freemasonry, you follow Jesus. Right? Freemasonry occupies a different space. Freemasonry does not occupy a religious space, it occupies a civic space. So the two will not conflict. And many people both follow Jesus and are themselves Freemasons. There's nothing wrong with doing both. Oof, sorry about that. There is not. Freemasonry started in 1717 or 1634. The Nephilim, which I believe are known as like the giants of the Bible, was around, if they existed at all, which I don't think they did, but it was, thousands of years ago, if not millions. Well, Karam, if anybody, I don't care if they're Masons or not, are involved in human trafficking, then they should be sent to jail. And I would call the police on them. The construct. So King Solomon's temple is an important symbol within Freemasonry. If the temple did exist, then by definition, stonemasons would have been used in the building of the temple, without a doubt. However, the building of the temple and stonemasonry is not the same thing as Freemasonry or speculative masonry. Again, the earliest example of speculative masons we have, I believe, is from 1634, St. Mary's Chapel. So these are different things. You're mixing up historical, legendary, theological, and historical facts. No Masons rule the world. Freemasonry isn't interested in ruling the world. To the extent that we're interested in doing anything is trying to make our own lives better, and the lives of those around us better, and our communities better, and people's lives better. We're not trying to run anything. That's not how it should be. That's not how I want it to be. I would not be interested in being part of a group that want to rule the world. Plus, it'd just be a pain in the butt. It'd be so much work. What is this Star of David symbolism? People keep telling me the picture behind me. Like, this is not the Star of David. That's a pentagram. The Star of David has 6 points. A pentagram has 5. It's probably, in this case, meant to reference Eastern Star, which has that as their symbol. It's 5 points to represent 5 heavenly virtues and 5 women from the Bible. Esther, Ruth, Martha. I always forget the last 2. Each of them had a certain virtue. Again, where is this Star of David? That's 5 points. The Star of David has 6 points. Unless you're talking about the square and compasses, which is not the Star of David. I'm not saying the Star of David doesn't make appearances in Masonic symbolism. It does. It's primarily known as the Seal of Solomon, right? And again, King Solomon was a very important figure within Freemasonry. Yeah, this one here. Oh, sorry, this side. Oh, I missed it. Okay, yeah, Seal of Solomon. I don't know why I never saw that before. So that's the Seal of Solomon. I mean, the Star of David pops up in a ton of Masonic symbolism. It's actually very common, and you see it in a lot of Masonic buildings in the in England, especially. You see that very frequently, and again, it's because it references King Solomon and his seal. Again, whether King Solomon existed or not is not, we don't know that for sure. My suspicion is King Solomon did not actually literally exist. My suspicion he is a theological or legendary figure. However, yeah, no, it's not that I don't know the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon is an important figure within Freemasonry. Rather, it's one of many important symbols. But yeah, it's this side. So it's interesting, actually. If I recall correctly, St. Mary's Chapel, I believe, I could be mistaken, but St. Mary's Chapel in Scotland, which would have been the first Masonic lodge to admit speculative Masons. If I recall correctly, it has the Seal of Solomon above its door, but I could be mistaken. I don't want to say for sure. Well, who are the they though, right? SAB. Like, I've been to Masonic buildings around the world. I've been to all different degrees. I've been to Scottish Rite events. I've never seen any example of Freemasons doing evil acts. And it's the type of thing where it'd be very hard for them to hide it from me because I'm showing up all over the place. Sooner or later, I would notice it. Whatever you say, you're not incorrect. It is amazing how many there are in the world today. Hello, Adubois. Thank you for being here. My favorite soup, French onion soup. You know what's funny? Whenever people tell me about this Star of David, I was always confused because I'd always point out like these stars. It's funny, I never noticed this one over here. But it doesn't shock me. And yeah, Star of David, it's a symbol in Freemasonry. It's known as the Seal of Solomon. Um, well, the people don't. The government may, and that's completely fair. I think we can have a lot of issues with the government of different countries. But the people, I think you want to be really careful of conflating people with government because when you do that, that can give you permission to hate innocent civilians who don't get to decide what the governments do. I don't know, but it's an overwhelming percentage. There are a lot of people who don't as well. I actually know a few people, Jewish people, who are actually, including in Israel, who are actually pushing against the government's acts. Not as many as I'd like, but there are many. I'm actually a member of a lodge in Israel, Holy Land Lodge number 50. So I'm very proud to be a member therein, even though I have a lot of issues with the government at the moment. Um, Freemasons can be homeless, sure. It's not impossible. It can absolutely happen. It's unfortunate. I wish it never does. There are a lot of Masonic groups and organizations that are working very hard to try to keep Masons from being homeless. There's the No Mason Left Behind program in Texas, which is helping elderly Masons as well as elderly Masonic widows ensure that if they are facing homelessness, they have somebody to help them and keep them in a home, which is something I'm grateful for. So there's a lot of work and effort being made and being done to try and keep people out of homelessness. And I'm grateful for every Mason who does that. But the No Mason Left Behind program is one great example of such. Um, so the Illuminati, I'm not sure what the Asiatic Brethren is. The Illuminati doesn't really exist anymore. You sound like that dude who wrote that letter to George Washington. Illuminati was founded in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt. It hasn't really been influential or relevant in any way for 100 years and such. So, no. And there's no evidence of any Illuminati infiltration in Masonic lodges. I don't even know what that means to infiltrate into a Masonic lodge, for the record. It's hard to speak out against any government, but especially authoritarian ones. Alcatraz, you're absolutely right. That is an issue that we're all facing, unfortunately. Once again, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. Don Ray, you sound a little bit like Albert Pike. Follow your heart and follow what you think is best. And if your heart leads you to Jesus, then follow Jesus, I think is the best approach to take. I think that is the most valuable lesson I could give. Remember, it's hard to speak out against. So, Don Ray, what do you think of Freemasonry? Let me know any thoughts you have on it, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear it. I agree with that. I mean, I would say, generally speaking, it's probably best to um, beware of any leaders that conflate their leadership with religion as a general rule. I think that can be very dangerous if you're not incredibly careful. Albert Pike is not one of my boys. Albert Pike is a pain in the butt. He is a member of the Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction. He was, I should say. It's not that I don't appreciate that he provided a great deal to Freemasonry, and I'm grateful for that. But he also said a lot of stuff that people are taking out of context. And people are also hugely conflating his actual importance. He wasn't nearly as important as people think he was to Freemasonry. It's just because he wrote Morals and Dogma and that book became popular and is easy to misunderstand. Everybody is talking about it now. Drives me crazy. Um, no, he didn't. Albert Pike wasn't a member of the KKK. I think you're thinking of Nathaniel Bedford Forrest, who was a Freemason and unfortunately a member of the KKK as well. Hello, NGD Mining. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Freemasonry is not a cult, so you're incorrect. I'm just going to call you T 420. Freemasonry is not a cult of any sort, weird or otherwise, for a variety of reasons, which I've already explained to people in the past. Thank you for doing everything. I appreciate that. No idea what the jokes are. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, and thank you again. Because of you guys, I got a record number of viewers on the last stream. Now the question is, can we convert that into some more revenue? That's a good way to look at it, whatever you say, and I agree with that completely, right? We need to remember what Freemasonry actually is, not what we want it to be or think it should be. That's not how it works. Never done anything humiliating. I've said it a million times. There's nothing in Freemasonry that is humiliating or against one's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities. Good question, Salmon. At its core, Freemasonry is a belief, and that belief is the belief that it is worth spending time with other people. That's all it is. It's a fraternity, it's a civic institution, it's a social club. There's also Freemasonry for women. But at its core, the basic belief is it's worth spending time with others. And then everything is kind of built around that basic tenet. Yes, we have Alcatraz, we have the Order of Women Freemasons, Eastern Star, and even Rainbow, which is for young women. So yeah, we have various groups for women. We also have co-masonry, out of like Le Droit Humain is one of them. So absolutely they can. I think one of the biggest mistakes we've made within Freemasonry over the years is underplaying how important women are to Freemasonry and to the order. I've loved talking about it on my channel in the past. Job's daughters as well, Coram. Yeah, they're not really that prominent in Canada. I don't know how many of them are even in Ontario, but they are still prominent in the States somewhat. Andy, you're gonna find yourself in timeout in a second. Need to calm down and stop having everything on caps. It's weird. No, I think Alcatraz, there's a lot of value to having a space for men to hang out together and discuss. It's like a guy's night out, right? I mean, you separate that in gender, but it's because guys enjoy sometimes spending time with other men, with their friends. That's all it is. It's a guy's night out and a girl's night out as well. But also, we need to keep in mind Eastern Star is not separated by gender. There are men and women, both part of the institution and part of the order. Um, well, if anybody hazed you, they should not. If it was anything illegal, the hazing, then you should contact the police immediately. While there is no trans lodge, however, the United Ground Lodge of England came out with a statement a few years ago, and in which they stated that trans membership is welcome. If you're assigned female but transition to male, you can join the Masonic lodge on the men's side, or the fraternity, as I think it should be. I think that's the right approach to take. All right, Angie, you need to calm down a little bit. I mean, they should be. The issue would be, I suppose what they would have to do is decide which gender or which sex they most closely align with, or most closely feel like, pick your term, and then decide which lodges to join based upon that. I suppose is the best way to approach it. With a trans person, they obviously, like in England or whatever it is, they will obviously identify as male or female, so it's very easy. When it comes to, say, intersex, I'm not really sure the best approach to take. I suppose you'd have to ask them, like, which do you most closely identify, either visually or otherwise, and you kind of go from there. We don't have to take anybody. Freemasonry, it's about the internal, not external qualifications of man, right? The internal, or people, I should say. The internal means, are you a good person and honorable? That's what matters. Not whether you're trans or cis or whatever it might be. Then, Rob, that is one thing I do not know how best to deal with. I suppose the lodges would have to make that determination for themselves. I have given this example before. Don't do the work of the lodge for you. If you are gender fluid, but you're interested in joining Freemasonry, go to the lodge, express how you feel, and you go from there. Well, Freemasonry is not biblical. Freemasonry is, we take symbols and we take symbols from the Bible. We also take symbols from Islam. We also take symbols from Egyptian mysticism, from Stoic philosophy or philosophies. We take it from Enlightenment era philosophy, from architectural orders, from primarily stonemasonry. You don't want to think about it, though, as, if you're looking at how to best interpret the Bible, don't use Freemasonry. Speak to a priest or religious leader. If you're looking for maybe some ethical lessons on how to live a better life here on earth, Freemasonry can lead you in some very good places. I know many Christian Freemasons, so I guess you can say it if you want, but I've never met a Christian Freemason who found being a Freemason was in any way negatively impacted their ability to, be good to their friends, their family, or more importantly, to be faithful to their beliefs and their religion and to Christ. Judaism as well. Yeah, Judaism as well. Freemasonry borrows from a lot of different philosophies. That, I think, is one of its greatest strengths. Well, I don't know what that means, Don Ray. Like, you can be Christian and play football. Are you serving two masters there? It's just a weird way to view it. I don't really get it. You're not, religion might be your master in the most literal sense, but that doesn't mean you don't live your life here on earth and have other responsibilities day to day. Those could be Masonic. Those could be anything else. It's a very strange attitude to have. It's not one I understand. I find it very strange way to view things. I don't know what you mean by truths. Like, I'm seeking... So, for example, if I'm a football player, I will learn the truth about the value of teamwork. That's the truth I learn as a football player. Now, you could call that a moral truth if you want, or an ethical truth. Is that the ultimate truth in a religious sense? That, I don't think so. But that's the point, right? I don't think it is. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be, right? If I'm looking for ultimate truth about the world or whatever it might be, like, Go to church. If you're looking for some ethical lessons that can help you live a better life here on earth, join Freemasonry or join a million other places. Um, we do not justify evil. No, at least we try not to. I hope we don't. I would be very disappointed if we were to. No, Freemasonry is like joining a football team. Freemasonry is like being part of a knitting club. Freemasonry is like being part of the Elks or the Moose. It's a civic group, it's a club. It's nothing more than that. And if you misunderstand that, that's on you. So I've never been to a Masonic lodge where they teach that evil and good are equal, or that you should not judge one. I've always, you know, never heard those teachings within Freemasonry, or those symbols. I mean, there's symbols about duality, but obviously we as Freemasons are called upon to focus on trying to lean towards the good path, at least good here on earth. Good neighbor, good friend, good citizen, good brother. If you want to be good in a moral sense, maybe talk to your priest or your rabbi. Um, what degree am I? Well, again, it's the type of truth you're seeking, Don. I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying, which does get frustrating after a while. There's religious truths like who's created the world? Why is the world created? What does it mean to be saved? What is salvation? Those are religious questions, and you can seek them through Jesus or Allah. You pick where you want to go. Then there's the truth of how to be a good neighbor and a good citizen. You can get those lessons from a variety of places. You can get those lessons from being a football player, from joining a knitting club, right? Or from Freemasonry. When Freemasonry provides symbols and ethics on, for example, the value of charity, that is a lesson that I can take and apply to being a good neighbor by being charitable to my neighbor. So it's different spaces. You keep trying to tell me that Freemasonry occupies religious space, and it doesn't. That's the thing you're refusing to understand. Freemasonry is not replacing the teachings of Jesus or acting in contrast or conflict with the teachings of Jesus. It's providing some ethical lessons for here on earth. If you want to know about the ultimate spiritual lessons, go somewhere else. Um, but again, great. But if you're a football player, you can develop certain ethical teachings that can be of benefit to you here on earth. And many football players will read the Bible, but they'll still take lessons from football. I once saw a guy talking about, the things he learned from being a football player, such as teamwork, practice, dedication, health, fitness, how to take criticism, how to grow. All of those things he learned as a football player, and he applied them to making himself a better citizen here on earth, and a better neighbor and a better friend. He may have also been religious and read the Bible, and the Bible may have backed up what he learned in as a football player, or um, maybe the football lessons backed up what he read in the Bible. But either way, being a football player and learning things about life through football was not in conflict with the Bible. In the same way, being a Mason and learning things from Masonry is not in conflict with the Bible. And it's just something I don't think you understand, which is unfortunate. I don't know enough about the Tao to say Alcatraz. I wouldn't shock me though. Freemasonry is borrowed from a lot of different um, philosophies and ideas, including the Tao. I always prefer science derived. I mean, I that kind of is something similar to what I've said before, right? to me, and I've said this before, to me, when it comes to my supreme being, it is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science and as expressed through geometry. That is kind of how I view it. Um, I always prefer, so I agree as well. Exec, welcome. I don't know what you're talking about, but please hit like and subscribe. Again, that's not true, Don Ray, and you know that's not true. Because, for example, if you're speeding down the road and the police stop you and give you a speeding ticket, they are doing so because they are in a position of authority over you. Or if you commit a crime and the judge sentences you to jail, you're going to jail because the priest or the judge is in a position of authority over you. If you have a job, which I assume you do, and your boss tells you to do this job by Friday, you're doing the job by Friday. There's different types of authority. Within Freemasonry, there is authority as well. However, it's not meant to, you would never say your boss's authority usurps Jesus's authority, or the police officer usurps Jesus. And there may be times when, if you feel like they're in conflict, you will choose, to listen to Jesus, even if that means you go against authority here on earth. And that's your right, and that's fine. But don't act like you don't have authority here on earth as well, or people to whom you are in a position of service. That's dumb, and that's silly, and that's foolish. Good for them, Essex. The highest degree within Freemasonry is the third degree. There are no highest Masonic realms. Sometimes Americans, I love America. I think they're incredible. I've always said it, Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because it is the greatest, we have the greatest neighbors in the world, in the States. The Bible is not pro-syncretism. Masonry is, well, Freemasonry is a civic institution. Put it this way, and this is a civil institution, but it's the same basic idea. If you had to go to court to testify, you may be testifying next to a Muslim person, next to a Jewish person, next to an agnostic, and they may all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on different books. Some may swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth on a Bible. Others may swear on a Quran. Others may swear on a Torah. Others may swear on a token of some point. You wouldn't leave the church. You wouldn't leave the courtroom because everybody is swearing on something different, and it's pro-syncretic. You would just recognize this is a different space. This is not a religious space. This is a civil space. Civic spaces, the best civic spaces, need to be the same way, right? That's kind of the point. There are no such thing as highest levels of Freemasonry. The highest level is the third degree. And I grew up with Masons as well. I don't know if it's good to assert authority. Sometimes it's necessary to assert authority. Right? Like if you're a police officer, sometimes you need to assert your authority. But if you have to get to the point where you're asserting your authority, that can be very challenging. Well, you may have been studying it for 40 years. I've been in it for just about 20. You need to be really careful. Studying something does not equate with or mean that you automatically understand it. The example I've given is riding a bicycle. If you've studied riding a bike for 40 years, you've read everything there is to read about riding a bicycle, but you've never actually ridden one before, you know less than the person who's ridden a bicycle. Freemasonry is experiential, not literal. Freemasonry is an experiential process, not an intellectual one. If you've never been part of it, never been part of meetings, never been to events, you don't really understand what you're talking about, despite how much you may have studied. Now you need both because if you purely rely on experience but you have no studying, you're not getting the full thing out of it. But that's another story altogether. Thank you. This is a very awesome carpet from Leamington Masonic Building, Leamington Masonic Lodge. Well, it's I mean, Masonry wasn't designed for any particular purpose, right? Like the idea that Masonry was designed, Masonry developed through multiple, I mean, to what it is today, through multiple different people putting their stamp on it. It initially started because Stone Masonic guilds needed more members and were welcoming in non-operative Masons to be part of their groups, to pay their dues, to be part of the social aspect. And eventually, as the Grand Lodges formed, it developed more and more of its rituals and kind of general philosophies and ethics surrounding Freemasonry. I certainly think Freemasonry has a very, I'll be back in 1 second, you can still hear me, has a very strong deportment towards democracy for a variety of reasons, but it is a democratic institution. So throughout history, you see a lot of Masons supporting democratic forms of government. You see that with Jose Rizal, with George Washington, Bolivar. Um, but you want to be careful about this idea again of designing. To the extent that Freemasonry had any designs, it was very early in its history on a more universal level when the exclusive Grand Lodge was the United Grand Lodge of England. At this point, there's so many different Grand Lodges, all of which are doing their own things. It's very hard to say that there is a specific or particular Grand Lodge design, if that makes any sense. No, I've sat with gay Freemasons and straight Freemasons as it should be. I would be very disappointed if they were to have a quote unquote official stance on that because it's not their place. Freemasonry, it's the internal, not external. So I don't care whether you're gay or straight. If you're a good man, you're a good man. Why are there oaths to keep secrets? Asked Ronald. So there are obligations. At the end of the day, you take an obligation to yourself, not to anybody else, and to your own conscience. It's no different than having a family recipe. If you have a family recipe that's passed down from your grandparents to your parents to you, you're gonna pass it down to your kids. It's not yours to share. It belongs to the family. And taking an obligation to maintain the privacy of Masonic rituals helps you remember the value of these private rituals as a way to maintain the bonds of brotherhood. There you go. That's a good way to, that's, Hylchard is actually right. So Memphis rights is something I know very little about. It's not really recognized in Ontario, in Canada, really, and in the States as well. It is recognized in Europe. I think that should go up to 99 degrees. Scottish Rite and York Rite, they are both appendant bodies of Freemasonry. York Rite is divided into chapters, the highest one being the Knights Templar. Scottish Rite is divided into degrees and bodies. In my jurisdiction, it goes Lodge of Perfection, Rose Croix, Consistory. In Northern Masonic jurisdiction, which is right next to me, it's something different. I can't think of what it is now. I forget what it's called, the Scottish Rite terms. Both of them are just a chance to learn more about Freemasonry, learn not even more, but just different things about Freemasonry. But the most important thing to remember about them is they are appendant bodies. They do not make you a higher ranking Freemason, nor does being a 33rd degree or part of the York Rite grant you any special privileges within a craft lodge. Um, Scottish Rite is very often defined as the kind of university of Freemasonry because it does give you different perspectives on the lodge itself and on Masonic legend. York Rite is more based on Knights Templar and kind of chivalric or militaristic ranks from the Middle Ages. He might not have been Ronald. It's very possible to get, it's very, very possible to um, uh, get some of these rings or special items at, for example, pawn shops, to get them gifted from, family members in the past, to purchase them at stores. The Masonic symbol is very popular. People love to purchase it and wear it without knowing what it is. Of this year, see, it's still early. I don't have as many. I would say my travels to the Grand Masters Conference of North America in Chicago. I would say that would be my biggest highlight to investing. What about you? What are some of your Masonic highlights? Also, yesterday was a highlight. I got the highest number of views in a single day. Set a record by 22 views. So I'm grateful for that. I hope we can keep it going. And thank you to everybody who's helped me out with that. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I'm grateful. Also, more exercise has been really helpful. That's not a Masonic highlight per se, but in some ways it is. Because I've said this before, I did a question about this. Within Freemasonry, we should try to maintain our health and well-being as a way to, first of all, it means we can contribute more to our Masonic lodges, but also it sets a good example for the community, and we should be setting a good example for the community around us. Um, it's simple, but it's good, so that's awesome. Um, I appreciate that very much, and I think sometimes it's the simple things that we forget, unfortunately, and far too regularly. Also, I've got another Patreon at the $50 mark, which I'm grateful for also. I'm trying my best to grow my medium. Um, yeah, we're still early in the year, but we're working on it. So I think we're going to make it, we'll get there sooner or later, I think without a doubt. But we are definitely working on it. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button if you can. I hope you're doing very well, and I hope you're having an excellent, excellent day. Thank you for being here. Do you have anything big coming up? And if so, what are some of those things you have big coming up that you're excited for? If you can make jokes and have fun with your brothers, that's what matters. That's really important. Yeah, Marcus, I think so. Masonic books are absolutely worth reading. I mean, it depends what your interests are. If you find history interesting, if you find secret societies, quote unquote, interesting, you'll probably love it. So, yeah, I would say you should definitely read them. My advice is always start with Freemasonry for Dummies. I think that's a great place to start. It's a great book. So I'd recommend starting with that one. No worries. Yeah, Marcus, my suggestion would be start with Freemasonry Dummies by Chris Hodap. It's a great book. Also, Marcus, I have a Medium channel. Perhaps you'd like to check it out. You can follow me there. I write about Freemasonry. And I also have some lists of other resources. I don't know if you ever check out Medium, but if you want to, this is it here. Medium.com/@Adamson_Cameron. Please consider checking it out. I would truly, truly appreciate it. We're going to give this some more time, wait to see who joins. Today is Earth Day. There are a lot of things that we within Freemasonry can do for Earth Day. So it's medium.com/@Adamson-Cameron. I would say making sure our buildings have recycling capabilities, recycling bins, making sure our buildings are being energy efficient, asking for grants to make our buildings more energy efficient. I think all of that stuff is incredibly important and matters quite a bit. Good for you, user. If it's becoming a problem, you should look at getting help. Right? I think there's a lot of grants out there to make our buildings more energy efficient that we're simply not looking into. And I think we should possibly spend more time focusing on that. Very often, one of the things that kills us with our buildings, because they are so old, is, and it's unfortunate, but is the fact that we do not spend enough time thinking about ways to make our buildings more energy efficient. Hold on just one sec. That means both in terms of plumbing, right? But also in terms of heating and cooling. Making sure our windows are up to date. Many Masonic buildings have a ton of windows on them. Making sure our windows are energy efficient is going to be incredibly helpful. Nobody is blood-sucking, satanic anything. Right, so just a few ideas for Freemasons when it comes to Earth Day. Engage in tree planting or gardening, right? Organize a tree planting event, even at your own building. Plant a tree in front of your lodge. Plant a couple of trees in front of your lodge, right? That is incredibly important. Community cleanup. Initiate or join projects to pick up litter in local parks, neighborhoods, or near the lodge. Sustainability. Organize recycling drives for plastics, electronics, or paper. Lodge efficiency. Improve the environmental footprint of Masonic temples by improving recycling, reducing waste, replacing windows with energy efficient windows, updating insulation for better heating and cooling. Your roof as well, you need to do. Donate to volunteer with local conservation groups. Promote how your building can be more energy efficient. This is from Freemason.com. 5 simple tips for making a positive impact on Earth Day. Practicing the Masonic tenet of brotherly love requires us to care for each other as well as our community. Our communities are not just our brethren, neighbors, and the towns and cities in which we live, but also the geographic space which we occupy. As Masons, we should be compelled to lead by example in the stewardship of our homes and the world given to us. In honor of Earth Day, we've compiled 5 easy ways to take a small step towards protecting our planet in your community and throughout the great state of Ohio. Consider limiting consider limiting consumption of single-use plastics. Single-use plastics include items such as plastic utensils, takeout containers, plastic cups, sandwich bags, shopping bags, and more. Though one of these may appear trivial in the moment of its use, Americans on average throw away 100 billion plastic bags alone. To add, when plastic bag is thrown away in a landfill, normally it takes 10 to 20 years to decompose. The time it takes a plastic bottle to decompose in a landfill is worse still at 450 years. Making the switch from single-use materials to more durable, long-lasting ones limits the amount of waste that accumulates in our landfills and seeps out into our wildlife. Rivers and parks. An easy place to start is by purchasing reusable shopping bags that will fit all of your groceries in them. I would say from a Masonic perspective, are we as Freemasons using single-use items when we are serving our lunches and dinners, single-use plates, single-use plastic forks and spoons? Or are we using items that can be washed and reused? I would say I've seen many Masonic functions, especially the not fancy dinners, but regular refreshments, where at the end of the night, the trash is overflowing with disposable plates, plastic cutlery, plastic cups. Ultimately, that stuff is very unhelpful for the environment, and it's also expensive. It means the lodge has to buy new items every time. Consider being willing to make the switch from single-use plastic items to reusable plates and cutlery, but also recognize if you're going to make that switch, you need to make sure that you have designated people to wash dishes, or every Mason washes his own dishes. It's not fair to make that switch and then expect the junior warden to do all of the cleaning, right? That's cruel. If you can't replace single-use plastics you use, recycling at home, as Masons we can recycle at home as well, but also recycle at the lodge building. Make sure we have designated spaces for recycling that's easy to see, easy to access. Don't make it one of those situations where at the end of the night, a brother has a can or a plastic bottle and he wants to recycle it. He just doesn't know where to recycle it. He can't figure out where to send it. Make it easy to recycle. Make the recycling in an obvious space and an obvious location. I don't think Freemasonry is a needed solution for society. I think Freemasonry is a solution to make society better. It's one of many. I think society would be worse off without Freemasonry. But hopefully, if Freemasonry does go away, there'll be another civic institution that will grow therein. Construct a living fence. If you are within Freemasonry and you have a Masonic building that has green space, why not take on a project that supports the environment as well? Make a property line to protect your garden through a living fence, a natural barrier made with bushes, trees, flowers, or any combination you prefer. Not only are living fences cheaper investments than traditional ones, they also save on materials and maintenance. You can also turn your living fence into a pollinator garden with bee-friendly plants. Build a garden. Why not have and look at having Masonic gardens, right? It'd be really cool in our Masonic buildings to spend some time putting up some green space or greenery in and around our buildings. Join the environmental councils. Within almost every city or community, there is some type of council dedicated to environment, right? Local environmental services. If our building is big enough, has a environmental footprint that matches its size, it makes a lot of sense, I think, for us to consider joining, right? To consider joining that council, and then showing off what we as Freemasons are doing for our local community through energy conservation. Also, look at applying for grants that can be used to make our buildings more energy efficient. That includes, but not limited to, in Canada, hold on just one second, let me find it now. I'm going to give you the names of some of these grants. Energy infrastructure grants, green space grants, heritage grants that allow heritage buildings to become more energy efficient as well. Those are just a few of the examples I would give you. So there you go. I hope those made sense. I will not, but I hope you will hit the like and subscribe button. When are balls in the gang? I don't even know what that says. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Let me know if what I said made sense in terms of how our buildings can celebrate Earth Day and be more energy efficient. And now we're back to hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Again, any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear it. I'm just going to give this a bit of time and wait to see who joins. Well, thank you, Cell. I mean, probably default user, there you go, with the Leo Taxil hoax from the 1880s or 1890s. That's probably when it started. That's the best guess I would give. Yeah, so Leo Taxil, his hoax was, let me actually get the exact dates. Unfortunately, the hoax, 1890s. Unfortunately, the Taxil hoax, a lot of people in the Catholic Church believed it. It was meant to mock both the conspiracy theories as well as the Catholic Church and Freemasonry, but no one got the joke, unfortunately. It's not from my lodge, but it is from a Masonic lodge. Yeah. It is from Leamington, which I visited a couple of days ago, and I think it's beautiful. I love it. So, um, no such thing, Viking Lloyd. You cannot be a blood mason. Freemasonry, one of the biggest things about Freemasonry is you need to join of your own free will and accord. If you are a blood mason, then by definition, you're not joining of your own free will and accord. Own free will and accord. You cannot be a blood mason. You're either a mason or you're not, and that's based on membership and your voluntary willingness to join. Thank you, Gui. I appreciate that. It's a really cool background. It's a beautiful lodge. It's a beautiful, in my opinion, lodge carpet from Leamington. I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for being here. My full name is Lloyd. Viking, I think you might have some mental health issues, and maybe worth talking to a professional about it, just for whatever it's worth. Um, because a lot of what you say seems like nonsense to me. Is it golden thread? I mean, the golden thread is kind of a metaphor, right? Theseus. I always think there's a golden thread within Freemasonry that kind of helps connect our Masonic, stone Masonic forefathers to current times. Hello, Daniel Dakin. Welcome back once again. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. We're just going to hang out, wait to see who else joins. I hope some of my ideas about Freemason Earth Day made sense. Thank you all again for being here. It's also, I want to mention this, National Tourist Week here in Canada. And I think it's really important that we remember that our Masonic buildings, and when we hold events within them, um, it's not simply a matter of, it's not simply a matter of we're holding a Masonic event, who cares? It matters because by holding that event, we're bringing in people from around the province, around the country, around the world to our Masonic building. I think, unfortunately, very often it does not get the respect it deserves. Our buildings get the respect they deserve as not simply Masonic meeting places, but actually drivers of the local economy. And I think that's really unfortunate, especially the tourism economy. I mean, look at the Detroit Masonic Temple. How many people every year travel from around the world or from around America or from Canada to the Detroit Masonic Temple to take in shows, to take in events, to take in celebrations? I'll answer that question a lot. I don't have the exact number, but I know it's frequent. Here in Windsor, very often you hear about people going to the Masonic for a special event. That's tourism. When I held the cornerstone ceremony here in Windsor, when I held the rededication, we had Masons arriving from across Canada, across the States, across the world. It was incredible, and I was truly grateful for that. So the Windsor Masonic Temple has absolutely been a major driver of tourism and a major driver of people joining lodges. It's been incredible. And as it is National Tourist Week, I think it's important that we remember that, and not allow ourselves to forget the incredible value that our lodges have and present to and for tourism and the local economy in general. That's also true, for example, for um, it's also very, very true for annual communications, Grand Lodge celebrations, banquets, Masonicons, all of these things. They bring in people from around the world who eat at the local restaurants, stay at the local hotels, take part in local tourist attractions. It brings significant money into the community. We never want to be forgetful of that. I think it's really dangerous if we are, and if we do. Um, yeah, Marcus, most lodges will offer tours of their building. Sometimes they charge money for tours, like Detroit, Philadelphia. But even then, if you're interested in potentially joining, usually you can talk to them about looking around, and they'll welcome you. It depends also if the lodge has volunteers to show people around. But in general, we do that in Windsor, certainly. So it doesn't hurt. Talk to the lodge and see if they want to, if they're willing to give you a tour. I would say normally the answer is yes, very often. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal, the idea of Mason on site is a very controversial opinion, I suppose. But Shaquille O'Neal has actually been a pretty great Mason in terms of showing off and showing for the lodge. So I would disagree with that. I think ultimately it's been a good thing, to his credit. Dork, I don't know if I believe in that or not. What I do believe, though, it's harmful to this channel if you don't hit the like and subscribe button. So please do. This channel is about Freemasonry and promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. So please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. We'll be ending this stream soon, but I will be back on tomorrow. Or actually tonight, technically, 1 a.m. So I hope you find me there. Or hope you find me then. So Freemasonry started in England and Scotland. Stonemasonry, I mean, that could go back millions of years to before there were human beings, right? You could push that back to the plains of Africa, 3.3 million years ago. Shaquille O'Neal is a Freemason. I've never heard any evidence he's a Satanist. I do not believe he is, so no. But he's been a very good Freemason in terms of showing off the ring and stuff like that. So credit to him for that. It's always appreciated when we get that support from anybody, especially a Mason on site. We're going to give this a bit more time, then restarting a new stream tomorrow. So you can find, or 1 a.m. Eastern. Your Masonic lodge does not, because Freemasons don't worship, right? We're not a religion. Worshipping is a religious thing. Freemasons are of all different faiths, backgrounds, and beliefs, but that's a different thing than worshiping a particular symbol, which we do not within Freemasonry. Thank you, Marcus, and thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it. I mean, maybe one day. I don't have any intentions of right now even joining the consistory, which gets me to the 32nd degree, let alone the 33rd. So no plans to right now. The 33rd is obviously a great honor, but my focus right now is on Craft Lodge and making sure Craft Lodge is successful, more so than anything else. I am also a big fan of mac and cheese. I concur. But sometimes it's not the healthiest meal, I don't think. So we need to find healthy meals as well. We're going to give this stream just a few more minutes. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. For whatever reason, my 1 a.m. streams are way more popular than my 1 p.m. streams. I don't know why, but I find that very interesting. All right, guys, we're going to end this stream. I know it's a shorter stream than normal, but I got a bunch of work to do. I hope you enjoyed my discussion on Earth Day and my discussion on possibly Freemasonry and Masonic buildings as tourist destinations. I'll talk more about that maybe tonight at 1 a.m., maybe tomorrow 1 p.m. Thank you again for a record number of views yesterday. I really appreciate it. And we'll see everybody soon. All right, guys, thank you so much. See you all soon.